She knocked twice on the wall. Something knocked back 3 times. She only had one roommate, and he was asleep 2 rooms away. Maya hadn't seen her roommate Jess in 9 days, not once. No footsteps, no music, no shower running at 6 a.m. like clockwork the way it always had. Just a closed door and a silence that didn't feel like absence. It felt like something was very deliberately staying quiet. But every morning, when Maya left a tray of food outside that door, it was gone by the time she woke up. Every single morning, for 9 days. Maya and Jess had been roommates for 2 years. They weren't just tolerable roommates, they were close. Jess was loud, chaotic, the kind of person who left dishes everywhere but always remembered your coffee order. She filled the apartment. So when Jess said she needed a mental health week and shut her bedroom door, Maya didn't think much of it. People needed space sometimes. Day 1, nothing unusual. Day 2, still nothing. But Maya noticed Jess's phone sitting on the kitchen counter, plugged in, screen dark. She figured Jess had a backup phone or just didn't need it locked away in her room. By day 3, the silence started to feel different. Not peaceful. Heavy. Maya began leaving food outside the door morning and night. Toast, leftovers, whatever was easy. Each time, by the next check, the plate was empty. Sometimes only half the food was gone. Sometimes just the meat or just the bread. Like whoever or whatever was eating it wasn't particular about what, only that it ate something. She texted Jess, "Hey, you good in there? Haven't heard from you?" The reply came back almost instantly. "Yeah, just resting." Maya should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt a small cold twist in her stomach. Because she'd been sitting in the hallway when that text came through, close enough to see under the door. And the room never lit up. No phone glow. No shift in the dark line beneath the door. Nothing. By day 6, Maya started sleeping badly. She'd lie awake listening, and some nights she swore she could hear breathing from that room. Slow, even, and once, just once, she was almost certain it was 2 sets of breath. Not one, overlapping just slightly out of sync. On day 8, she finally worked up the nerve to press her ear directly to the door. She heard it clearly this time. Breathing? Yes, but also something else. A faint, wet, clicking sound, like something shifting its weight on old floorboards. And under it, so quiet she almost convinced herself she imagined it. Her own name whispered once. On the 9th day, Maya couldn't wait any longer. She knocked. No answer. She tried the handle, unlocked it, and stepped inside. The room was dim, blinds drawn tight, and it smelled stale, unused, like a space that had been sealed shut for weeks rather than days. The bed was made tightly, perfectly, hospital corner tight. The kind of made that happens when no one has slept in it at all. Jess wasn't there. There was no sign she had been there in days. Hands shaking, Maya called her. Jess picked up on the second ring. Cheerful, normal. From her parents' house, 3 states away, where she'd been staying for the past 10 days after a sudden family emergency. She'd forgotten to mention it. She'd assumed a friend had been checking the apartment. She had never once texted Maya from that room. Maya stood there, phone still in her hand, staring at the empty, undisturbed bed. Behind her in the hallway, the food tray from that morning sat exactly where she'd left it. Except now it was empty again, and it had been moved. Not outside the door where she'd set it, just inside it. Maya moved out within the week. She never told Jess what she found, or didn't find, in that room. And to this day, she doesn't know whose breathing she heard through that door for 9 straight nights, or what exactly had been waiting on the other side, patient enough to eat quietly and wait for her to finally open it. Devon lived alone in a 2-bedroom apartment. He always had. But something on the other side of his bedroom wall didn't seem to know that. It started small. Devon would cough, and half a second later, he'd hear a cough echo back through the wall. Not quite an echo, more like a copy. Slightly wrong, slightly too wet. He figured it was just old pipes settling. An apartment quirk. The building was over 60 years old. Weird noises came with the territory. He checked with the leasing office out of pure curiosity. The unit next door had been vacant for 8 months. No tenants, no maintenance requests, nothing. Devon started testing it on purpose. He'd knock twice on the wall, 2 knocks back, delayed by exactly half a second. He'd hum a note. The same note hummed back, slightly flatter, like it was being learned rather than repeated. One night, half as a joke, he said out loud, "Hello?" The reply came through the wall in his own voice, half a second later. "Hello?" He stopped testing it after that, but it didn't stop testing him. Over the next 2 weeks, the copies got faster. The delay shrinking from half a second to a quarter to something that felt almost simultaneous, like it was catching up to him in real time. And then one night, he pressed his ear to the wall out of habit, and for the first time heard something that wasn't a copy at all. A whisper, in a voice that wasn't his, saying his name. Should everyone convince the building superintendent to let him into the vacant unit next door, claiming he'd heard a leak. The apartment was completely bare, dust thick on every surface, untouched for months, except for one wall, his shared wall, which was spotless, wiped clean from floor to ceiling, in a way that suggested someone or something pressed against it every single day. That night, back in his own apartment, Devon lay in bed and said nothing out loud. No test, no knock, just silence. After a long pause, faintly from the wall, he heard his own breathing, echoed back, half a second delayed, exactly the way it had started weeks before. Devon moved out 2 weeks later. He never told the next tenant about the wall. Some things, he figured, you have to discover for yourself, or not at all. Sarah moved into her sublet on a Tuesday. By Thursday, the mail had already started arriving, addressed to a name she had never heard before. Renee. The listing had said the previous tenant moved out unexpectedly. Sarah didn't ask questions. Cheap rent, good location. She wasn't about to overthink it. The landlord took 2 days to answer anything. When she finally asked about the mail piling up, he replied simply, "Just toss it. Old tenant, don't worry about it." While unpacking, Sarah found something scratched faintly into the inside of the closet door. Renee was here, followed by a date, exactly 1 year before Sarah moved in. The mail kept coming, not junk, personal mail. A birthday card signed, Mom. A dentist appointment reminder. Sarah started to feel like she was living inside someone else's unfinished life, one piece of mail at a time. Then, 10 days in, an envelope arrived with no stamp and no postmark, just slid under the front door directly. It was addressed to Sarah. Not Renee. Sarah, a name she hadn't given to anyone but her landlord and 2 close friends. Inside, a single handwritten line. You're in her room now. Be careful what you agree to. Sarah searched the apartment that night and in the closet found a loose floorboard beneath the carpet. Underneath it, a small box full of letters, all written by Renee, all unsent, all growing more afraid with each page. The last letter, dated the same day Renee moved out unexpectedly, read only. Someone else is going to move in soon. I have to warn them. I have to. It cut off mid-sentence. Sarah moved out within the month. She never learned what happened to Renee. But before she left, she did one thing. She wrote her own letter and hid it in the same floorboard for whoever came next. The next morning, checking the mailbox one last time, a new envelope waited. Addressed once again, not to Sarah, but to a third name she'd never seen before. If you've ever had a roommate you couldn't quite trust, or one you never actually saw, tell us in the comments. And if you have your own true story, submit it using the link in the description. We might animate it next. Subscribe for a new episode every week.